Let me tell you something nobody wants to hear about morning motivation. Everyone tells you to wake up, look in the mirror, and repeat happy thoughts to yourself. They tell you to tell yourself that you are a king, that money is coming your way, and that the universe is going to hand you success just because you ask for it. That is a lie. Positive thinking without positive actions is just a delusion. It is a fairy tale we tell ourselves because we are too afraid to look at the truth. The truth is harsh. The truth does not care about your feelings. If you wake up every single morning and fill your head with empty affirmations while your life is falling apart, you are not building confidence. You are building a habit of lying to yourself. You cannot speak success into existence if your daily work ethic says otherwise. True motivation is not about feeling good for 5 minutes while you drink your coffee. It is about confronting reality head on. It is about looking at the gap between who you are and who you want to be and choosing to bridge that gap with sweat, discipline, and silent execution. Listen to me carefully. The world does not reward your potential. It rewards your performance. Every morning you wake up, you are entering a battlefield, and the biggest enemy you will face is staring right back at you in the mirror. If you start your day by coddling your ego, you have already lost before you even step outside. This is what separates the 1% from the 99%. The average man wakes up and waits for inspiration to strike him. He checks his phone, he looks at social media, and he lets the world dictate his mood before his feet even touch the floor. But the man of discipline, he controls the morning because he knows that if you win the morning, you win the day. He does not need a cheerleader. He does not need a pat on the back. He needs a strategy. He knows that the words he speaks to himself in those first few minutes of daylight will either arm him for battle or disarm him for defeat. You have to stop looking for comfort in your thoughts and start looking for clarity in your actions. Stop and think about this for a second. Why are you really here? You are here because you are tired of the cycle. You are tired of waking up with the same regrets, the same frustrations, and the same unfulfilled promises. You have told yourself 1,000 times that tomorrow will be different. Yet tomorrow looks exactly like yesterday. The reason is simple. You are trusting your emotions to guide your discipline. Emotions are fickle. They change with the weather. If you only work when you feel like working, you will never accomplish anything of substance in this life. You need something deeper than a feeling. You need a set of non-negotiable truths that you anchor your mind to every single morning. These are not empty words designed to make you smile. These are declarations of war against your own laziness, your own doubts, and your own limitations. When you tell yourself the truth in the morning, you clear away the fog of distraction and you reveal the path that you must walk, no matter how hard it gets. Let me tell you a story about how the world actually works. We look at successful men and we see the bright lights, the achievements, and the recognition. We see them holding the trophy or standing at the top of the mountain. But there is something nobody tells you about that moment. Success is not created on the stage. It is merely revealed there. Success is created in the dark, in the cold, when nobody is watching you, nobody is clapping for you, and nobody cares whether you show up or not. This is the iceberg principle. What people see above the water is only 10% of the reality. The other 90% is the invisible work. It is the years of preparation, the thousands of hours of unseen labor, and the daily grind that happens when the rest of the world is sleeping. While they sleep, you grind. That is not just a catchphrase. It is a law of nature. If you want what others do not have, you must be willing to do what others will not do, especially when there is no immediate reward in sight. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you put your head down and worked on a goal for 6 months straight without telling a single soul about it? We live in a culture that is obsessed with validation. Everyone wants to show their progress before they have even made any. They want the applause before they have done the work. But real power lies in silence. When you learn to stay silent and focus on yourself, you build a deep, unshakable foundation. You become like a tree whose roots go deep into the earth. The storm can blow, the wind can howl, but that tree is not going anywhere because its strength is hidden beneath the surface. Your morning routine is your time to water those roots. It is your time to build that hidden strength so that when you step out into the world, nothing can move you. You do not need to prove anything to anyone on the internet. You only need to prove something to the person you see when you look in the mirror every single morning. This brings us to a fundamental law of life that you must memorize. Music preparation meets opportunity. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for a lucky break. They pray for an opportunity, they wish for a shortcut, and they complain that the world is unfair because their big moment has not arrived yet. But let me ask you this. If your dream opportunity presented itself to you right now, this very morning, would you actually be ready for it? Would your body be capable of handling the demands? Would your mind be sharp enough to make the right decisions? Would your character be strong enough to withstand the pressure? The truth is, most people are not ready for the things they pray for. They want the crown, but they cannot carry the weight of it. When chance appears, only the prepared people win. The opportunity of a lifetime is completely useless if you have not spent a lifetime preparing your mind and body for it. Now, pay attention to this next part, because here is where it gets interesting. Opportunities do not look like opportunities when they first arrive. They usually look like hard work, long hours, and uncomfortable challenges. They look like a problem that needs to be solved. If you have not trained your mind through daily morning discipline, you will miss the opportunity entirely because you will be too busy looking for comfort. You will make excuses about why the timing is wrong or why the task is too difficult. But when you train yourself every morning to accept discomfort, your eyes open to a completely different reality. You start to see that every obstacle is actually an invitation to grow. You start to see that the pressure you feel is not there to destroy you, but to prepare you. Your future self is watching you right now, looking back at this exact moment, waiting to see if you will do the heavy lifting required to open the doors of tomorrow. Let me give you a real-life example of what this looks like in practice. Think about an entrepreneur who works a brutal night shift for 5 long years. He does not have a fancy office. He does not have an investment team. He has a laptop, a small desk in the corner of his bedroom, and a vision that nobody else can see. Every single morning when his shift ends and his body is screaming for sleep, he forces himself to sit down and work on his business for 2 hours. His friends are out partying. His family tells him he is crazy and that he needs to get a normal life. He sees no profit for the first 3 years. He sees nothing but debt, exhaustion, and failure. But he keeps showing up morning after morning, acting as if his success is already a guaranteed fact. He is not relying on motivation. He is relying on a system. He has trained his mind to understand that the invisible work always comes before the visible harvest. Eventually, the market shifts. A major competitor closes down, and suddenly there is a massive demand for the exact service this man has been quietly perfecting for 5 years. To the outside world, he is an overnight success. People say he got lucky. They say he was in the right place at the right time. But they do not see the 5 years of isolation. They do not see the thousands of mornings where he had to fight his own mind just to keep going. Pressure reveals patterns. When the pressure of the market arrived, it did not break him because his pattern was already one of unshakable resilience. Compare him to another man who had a great idea but spent his morning sleeping in, waiting for the perfect moment to start. When that same market opportunity arrived, he tried to jump in, but he lacked the skills, the discipline, and the infrastructure. He failed within a month. The pressure revealed his pattern of laziness. What if I told you that the challenges you are facing right now are not punishment, but a test to see what pattern is inside of you? When financial stress hits you, music, when a relationship ends, or when your health takes a hit, that pressure is not creating your character. It is exposing it. It shows you exactly who you are when the lights are turned off and the music stops. If you crumble under the weight of adversity, it is because you have been letting yourself slide in the dark. You have been skipping the small habits. You have been negotiating with your alarm clock. You have been letting distraction take the driver's seat of your life. Nobody is coming to save you from this. No mentor, no book, and no motivational video can do the internal work for you. You have to decide right now that you are going to protect your attention like it is the most valuable currency on the face of the earth. Here is the secret that the modern world tries to hide from you. Your attention is being bought and sold every single day. There is a multi-billion-dollar industry designed specifically to keep you distracted, keep you addicted, and keep you numb. Every time you pick up your phone first thing in the morning and mindlessly scroll through notifications, you are handing over your power to someone else. You are letting other people's opinions, other people's lives, and other people's agendas flood your brain before you even know what your own goals are for the day. You are building a fortress for distraction instead of a fortress for focus. There are 3 major energy vampires that will drain your potential if you let them through the gates. Toxic people who spread negativity, social media platforms that trigger envy, and the constant crippling anxiety about what other people think of you. You must build a focus fortress around your mind every single morning. This means creating a sacred boundary around your time and attention. When you wake up, your mind is in its most fertile state. Whatever you plant in it during those first 60 minutes will grow and dictate the rest of your day. If you plant anger from the news, you will have a stressful day. If you plant insecurity from social media, you will have a timid day. But if you plant discipline, focus, and clarity, you become unstoppable, not because your life is perfect, but because your mind is locked into a specific frequency. You have to learn to say no to the things that do not align with your vision. You have to be willing to be disliked, to be misunderstood, and to be left out by the crowd. The price of admission to the top 1% is loneliness at the bottom. Let us break down the exact mechanism of how growth actually happens. It is not a random occurrence. It is a highly predictable 5-stage sequence that you must execute daily and weekly. The first stage is learning, which is all about the quality of your input. Stop consuming garbage information. Stop feeding your mind mental junk food. Read books that challenge you. Study data that expands your skills. And listen to wisdom that forces you to think deeply. The second stage is application driven by the 1% daily rule. You do not need to leap a mountain in one day. You just need to be 1% better than you were yesterday. That means writing one page, making one more sales call, or pushing through one more repetition in the gym. It seems small in the moment, but consistency turns small actions into massive results. The third stage is evaluation, which requires an honest weekly review. Every single weekend, you must sit down with a pen and paper and audit your life. Do not lie to yourself during this process. Look at your calendar, look at your bank account, and look at your waistline. Did you do what you said you were going to do? Where did you waste time? What distractions did you allow into your fortress? This leads directly to the fourth stage, which is correction. You have to know the difference between pivoting and quitting. Quitting is giving up because things are hard. Pivoting is changing your strategy because the data shows your current method is not working. Be stubborn about your destination, but be flexible about the path you take to get there. If a door is locked, you do not walk away. You find a key or you build a new door. The final stage of the sequence is persistence powered by the compound effect. This is the law that governs all great human achievements. When you apply small amounts of effort over long periods of time, the results do not grow linearly. They grow exponentially. It is like rolling a snowball down a mountain. At first, it is tiny and barely moves, but as it keeps rolling, it gathers more snow, picks up speed, and eventually becomes an avalanche that nothing can stop. Your daily morning habits are that snowball. In the first few weeks, nobody will notice a difference. You will look the same, feel the same, and your bank account will look the same. But if you persist through that silent period, the compound effect will take over and your life will transform in ways that look miraculous to the untrained eye. Let me tell you something about motivation. Motivation is a scam. It is a feeling that comes and goes whenever it pleases. Motivation is great when it is there, but it is completely unreliable. If you only execute your strategy when you feel motivated, you are going to fail. Systems beat moods every single day of the week. When you build a system, you remove the need for decision M. You do not wake up at 4 a.m. and ask yourself, should I get up today? No, the system has already decided for you. The alarm goes off, your feet hit the floor, and you move into action before your brain has time to formulate an excuse. This is the non-negotiables framework. You must establish a list of 3 to 5 things that you do every single morning, no matter what. Whether you are sick, tired, traveling, or busy, those things get done. Let us outline the exact steps of an elite morning routine. It starts at 4 a.m. Why 4 a.m.? Because at 4 a.m. the world is quiet. There are no emails coming in. There are no text messages buzzing on your phone. The rest of the world is asleep, which means you have 0 external distractions. Step 1 is immediate movement. You do not hit snooze. Splashing cold water on your face and moving your body immediately breaks the sleep cycle. Step 2 is mental grounding. Spend 15 minutes in absolute silence, setting your intentions and reminding yourself of your non-negotiables. Step 3 is deep work. Dedicate the next 90 minutes to your most important higher leverage task. Do not check emails. Do not look at statistics. Just create, build, or solve. By 6 o'clock a.m., before most people have even opened their eyes, you have already won the day. To supercharge this system, you need to implement a 90-day sprint system. Human beings are not designed to sprint forever, but we are highly capable of intense focus for short defined periods. Pick one single goal for the next 90 days. Do not try to fix your finances, your fitness, and your relationships all at the exact same time. Pick the one area that will have the biggest positive ripple effect on the rest of your life. For the next 3 months, that goal is your obsession. Every morning is dedicated to it. Every decision is filtered through it. You cut out everything that does not serve that specific sprint. This level of extreme focus creates a massive breakthrough because you are directing all your energy into a single point, like a laser beam cutting through steel. We must speak about strategic patience using the timeless metaphor of the seasons. Your life has winters, springs, summers, and autumns. Right now, you might be in a harsh winter. Everything feels frozen, difficult, and dead. You are working hard, but you see no fruit. This is where most people quit. They think that because they cannot see the results, nothing is happening. But winter is the season where the roots grow. It is the season where you build stamina and resilience. You cannot jump straight from planting a seed to harvesting the crop. There is a necessary delay. Delayed gratification is the ultimate mark of maturity. If you cannot tolerate the delay between your effort and your reward, you will forever be a slave to short-term pleasures that ruin your long-term future. Let's look at the timeline reality of human transformation. It takes 3 months of daily discipline just to build a solid foundation. You are changing your self-image, breaking old addictions, and building new neural pathways in your brain. It takes 6 months before those changes become visible to the people around you. Your body starts to look different, your work quality improves, and your confidence becomes noticeable. But it takes a full 12 months of unshakable consistency to achieve a true lifestyle transformation. 1 year of total dedication can completely rewrite the narrative of your life. It can take you out of debt, out of depression, and place you on a path of generational wealth and power. But you have to be willing to survive the quiet months first. To ensure you stay on this path, you need a rigorous feedback and refinement system. You cannot manage what you do not measure. If you are just floating through life, hoping things get better, you are living on a prayer, not a strategy. Every morning, you must perform an honest self-assessment. Run through the mirror test. Look yourself dead in the eyes and ask, did I give 100% yesterday? Did I live up to my own standards? If the answer is no, do not make excuses. Do not cry about it and do not beat yourself up. Just accept the data, make the course correction protocol, and execute better today. You have to become a scientist of your own life, studying your behaviors objectively, identifying the glitches in your routine, and removing them with surgical precision. As you master this feedback loop, you will begin to experience the flywheel effect. A flywheel is a massive, heavy iron wheel mounted on an axle. To get it to move, you have to push it with all your might. You push for an hour and it barely moves an inch. You keep pushing, sweating and straining, and slowly it completes one full rotation. It feels like a massive amount of work for a tiny result. But you do not stop. You keep pushing. Over time, the wheel gains momentum. The weight of the wheel starts working for you. Suddenly, it is turning faster and faster, and you do not have to push nearly as hard to keep it moving. Eventually, that flywheel is spinning with so much force that if anything tries to stand in its way, it gets crushed. Do you know what that means mathematically? Let's look at the numbers. If you improve by just 1% every single day for a year, the math looks like this. 10101 to the circumflex of 365 equals 37.78. That means by doing the small morning habits consistently for 12 months, you will become nearly 38 times better than you are right now. That is the power of compounding. But if you neglect your habits and decline by just 1% every day, 0.989 to the power of 365 equals 0. 03, 03, you decline almost all the way down to 0. The choices you make every single morning are not neutral. They are either multiplying your power or dividing your strength. There is no middle ground. You are either building an empire or watching your kingdom crumble. When you hit a plateau, and you will hit one, do not panic. Plateaus are not signs that you should stop. They are signs that your momentum is building beneath the surface. It is like heating water from 32 degrees all the way to 211 degrees. Water stays water. It just gets hotter. You can look at it and think nothing is changing because it looks exactly the same. But then you hit 212 degrees, one single degree of difference, and suddenly the water boils, turns into steam, and gains enough power to move a locomotive train. That 1 degree is your next morning routine. It is the extra effort you put in when you feel like giving up. You are closer to that boiling point than you think. Do not walk away from the stove right before the breakthrough happens. This level of discipline cannot just be a phase. It has to become a breakthrough as a lifestyle. You have to raise your baseline standard of what is acceptable to you. You have to reach a point where mediocrity disgusts you, where wasting a morning feels like a betrayal of your own soul. Visualize your future self 5 years from now if you choose the path of pride and discipline. Imagine standing in a position of complete financial freedom, physical vitality, and mental peace, knowing that you built that life with your own 2 hands, starting with the choices you made every single morning. Now imagine the alternative path, the path of regret, where you continued to make excuses, continued to hit snooze, and remained exactly where you are today, only older, weaker, and more bitter. The choice belongs entirely to you. Nobody is going to drag you out of bed. Nobody is going to do the heavy lifting for you. This morning, as you listen to these words, you are standing at that crossroads once again. You can go back to sleep and chase the illusions of comfort. Or you can wake up, declare war on your limitations, and start building the fortress of your future. Let me tell you something. Your time is ticking and the clock does not reset for anyone. This is what separates the 1% from the 99%. It is not luck and slow, not rushing and slow. What is the 1% luck to say? It is the unshakable daily commitment to stand up, stay silent, face the mirror, and execute the plan day after day after day. Stop talking about what you are going to do. Open your eyes, step onto the battlefield, and go get what belongs to you. Let me tell you something else about this journey that nobody prepares you for. When you choose to step away from the crowd and commit to this level of daily execution, the people around you will notice. Some will be inspired, but many will become uncomfortable. Your discipline is a mirror that reflects their own laziness. When they see you waking up at 4 o'clock a.m., protecting your time, and refusing to participate in gossip or cheap entertainment, they will try to pull you back down to their level. They will tell you that you are changing, that you are missing out on life, or that you are taking things too seriously. Listen to me carefully. Do not argue with them. Do not try to convince them to join you. Just smile, stay silent, and let your results do the talking. Your progress is the only argument you need. Think about the architecture of a skyscraper. Before a building can rise hundreds of feet into the sky for everyone to admire, the construction crew spends months digging deep into the ground. They pour tons of concrete and lay massive steel bars deep into the dirt. To the casual observer walking by, it looks like nothing is happening. It looks like a giant hole in the ground full of mud and noise. But without that deep, unseen foundation, the skyscraper would collapse under its own weight the moment a strong wind hit it. Your life is no different. This quiet season of your life, where you are focusing on your morning routine and cutting out distractions, is your foundation phase. You are digging deep. Do not rush the process. Enjoy the mud, because the height of your success will be directly determined by the depths of your foundation. What if I told you that the fear you feel right now about failing is completely misplaced? The real thing you should fear is not failure. Failure is just information. It tells you what did not work so you can adjust your strategy and try again. The real thing you should fear is regret. Imagine waking up 20, 30, or 40 years from now, looking back at your life and realizing that you never actually gave 100%. Imagine knowing that you settled for a fraction of what you were capable of because you were too comfortable, too scared, or too distracted to do the work. That is true failure. That is a weight that will crush your soul. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Choose the weight of discipline today because it is the only weight that builds muscle. Now, let us examine the concept of the focus fortress more deeply. A fortress is not a place where you hide from the world. It is a position of strength from which you launch your campaigns. To keep your fortress secure, you have to monitor the gates constantly. Who are you letting into your circle? What information are you allowing into your mind? If you surround yourself with 5 lazy, distracted people who complain about their circumstances, you will inevitably become the 6th. But if you shut the gates to that negativity and focus entirely on your own growth, you create an environment where success is the only logical outcome. You do not need a massive social circle to win in 2026. You need a dedicated focus zone where your vision can grow without contamination. Let's look at the archetype of the craftsman who built his workshop from scratch. He did not start with expensive tools or a massive client list. He started with an empty room and a commitment to show up every single day at the exact same hour. For the first 2 years, his work was ignored. He made mistakes, he ruined materials, and he lost money. But he treated his mornings like a sacred ritual. He swept the floor, sharpened his tools, and practiced his craft with absolute devotion, even when nobody was buying. He was executing the learn, apply, and evaluate sequence without even knowing it. One day, a master collector walked past his shop, saw the extraordinary quality of his work, and bought his entire inventory. The craftsman did not get lucky. He was simply ready when the opportunity knocked on his door. Contrast that craftsman with another man who wanted to be an artist, but only worked when the mood struck him. He spent his mornings sleeping, waiting for the perfect flash of inspiration to hit his mind. He talked constantly about his grand ideas to anyone who would listen. He posted on social media about his artistic vision. But when the same master collector visited his studio, there was nothing to see except unfinished canvases and rusty tools. The man had plenty of talent, but he had zero preparation. He thought motivation would save him, but motivation left him stranded in the cold. This is what separates the dreamers from the doers. The dreamers speak of what they want to build, while the doers are in the workshop every single morning, quietly hammering away at the stone. Let me tell you something about the 1% law that governs your personal development. Most people think that to double their income or transform their body, they need to make a massive, violent shift in their life overnight. They think they need to change everything all at once. That approach almost always leads to burnout and failure within the first 2 weeks. The 1% law is different. It is the strategy of aggregation of marginal gains. If you just improve your focus by 1% today, improve your diet by 1% tomorrow, and improve your knowledge by 1% the day after, those tiny fractions begin to build on top of each other. You are creating a compounding interest machine within your own character. Within a few months, those small shifts create a massive gap between you and the competition. Here is where it gets interesting. The crowd cannot see the 1% adjustments you are making in the dark. They only see the massive breakthrough when it finally manifests in the light. They will call you a genius. They will say you have a special gift. But you will know the truth. You will know it was the 4 o'clock a.m. alarm clocks. You will know it was the book you read instead of watching television. You will know it was the extra sales call you made when your voice was tired. You will know it was the silent commitment to keep moving forward when everything inside you was begging you to stop. That is the secret of the elite. They do not look for massive miracles. They master the small, boring habits that everyone else overlooks. Stop and think about your current energy budget. Every single human being has a limited amount of mental energy and focus available to them each day. When you waste that energy arguing with strangers online, worrying about things you cannot control, or chasing after people who do not value you, you are bankrupting your own future. You are leaving yourself with zero fuel for your deep work, zero fuel for your physical health, and zero fuel for your strategic thinking. You have to become fiercely protective of your energy. Treat your focus like gold. If an activity or a person does not contribute to your vision, your health, or your character, it does not deserve a single second of your attention. Shut the door on the noise and invest your energy back into yourself. Let us look at the winter principle in detail. In life, winter is the season of testing. It is the season where the environment becomes hostile, resources become scarce, and your resolve is challenged. Most people try to avoid winter. They complain about the cold, they wish for summer, and they pray for their problems to disappear. But the elite man looks at winter as his greatest advantage. Why? Because he knows that while everyone else is freezing, complaining, and hiding indoors, he can use that time to outwork, outlearn, and outmaneuver the entire field. Winter is the season where you separate yourself from the herd. If you can maintain your morning discipline, your physical training, and your strategic focus during the darkest, hardest times of your life, you will dominate the field when the spring finally arrives. Your 90-day sprint system is the tool you use to navigate these seasons with precision. When you break your year down into 90-day blocks, You create a sense of urgency that is impossible to maintain over a 12-month horizon. 90 days is long enough to make massive, measurable progress, but short enough to keep your eyes locked on the finish line. Every morning during those 90 days, you wake up with one single objective dominating your thoughts. You do not wander around wondering what to do next. The target is clear. The system is in place, and your only job is to execute the daily requirement. When you finish that sprint, you evaluate the data, you celebrate the growth, you make the necessary adjustments, and then you launch the next sprint with renewed energy. Listen to me carefully. Your future self is watching you right now through the lens of memory. Think about who you want to be 5 years from now. Think about the house you want to live in, the freedom you want to enjoy, and the impact you want to make on your family and your community. That future version of you only exists if you build him today. Every time you hit the snooze button, you are actively robbing your future self of his wealth, his health, and his peace. Every time you give in to distraction, you are delaying his arrival. But when you stand up at 4 o'clock a.m., face the cold, and execute your non-negotiables, you are sending a direct message to your future self that you're doing the work required to bring him into reality. Let me tell you a story about an athlete who was cut from his high school varsity team. He did not cry about it. He did not blame the coach. He did not make excuses about his height or his genetics. He went home, looked at himself in the mirror, and made a silent pact with his future self. Every single morning for the next 12 months, before the sun rose and before his classmates even opened their eyes, he was on the court, practicing his shots. He shot 500 baskets every single day. He ran sprints until his lungs burned. He studied the film of his mistakes with clinical precision. When the tryouts came around the following year, he did not just make the team, he dominated the entire league. The pressure of getting cut revealed a pattern of unshakable drive. What if your current setback is actually the fuel you need to launch your greatest breakthrough? If you lost your job, if your business failed, or if someone walked out of your life, stop looking at it as a tragedy. Look at it as a clean slate. Look at it as an invitation from the universe to reinvent yourself from the ground up. This is your moment to rebuild your fortress. Start tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock a.m. Do not look back at the past with regret. Look forward at the blank canvas with anticipation. Fill that canvas with discipline, with focus, and with relentless action. You have the power to completely change the trajectory of your life in the next 12 months. But that change requires you to give up the old identity that kept you stuck in the cycle of mediocrity. Let us discuss the mirror test protocol in depth. True self-assessment cannot happen in a music crowd. It happens when you are completely alone, away from the applause and away from the every morning or every evening. Look at yourself in the eyes. Do not look at your clothes. Do not look at your surroundings. Look directly into your own eyes and ask the hard question. Did I show up as the man I claimed to be? Did I protect my focus fortress today? Did I execute my non-negotiables, or did I negotiate with my comfort zone? If you lie to yourself during this test, you are guaranteeing your own failure. But if you have the courage to be brutally honest, to admit where you fell short, to promise yourself to fix it tomorrow, you become a danger. You become a man who cannot be stopped because you are self-correcting in real time. This is what separates the 1% from the 99. The 99% look for external validation to tell them that they need compliments, likes, and music trophies, keep going. But the 1% rely entirely internal validation. They know their own metrics. They know their own. If they win a victory, but know they did not give 1 cent effort, they do not celebrate. And if they suffer a defeat, but know they executed perfectly and gave everything they had, they do not hang there. They trust the system because they know that over a long enough timeline, the system always wins. Your morning routine is the place where you align your internal compass so that you never have to rely on the crowd to find your way. Now consider the flywheel of momentum. Once again, when you first start waking up early, working out and studying, it will feel heavy. It will feel like you are pushing an iron mountain. Your brain will tell you that it is not worth it. It will point out that you are tired and that your life hasn't changed yet. That is the critical moment where most people walk away. They stop pushing just as the wheel is about to turn. But if you can maintain your discipline, if you can push through that initial resistance for 30, 60, or 90 days, a beautiful thing happens. The momentum takes over. The habits become automated. Waking up at 4 o'clock a.m. stops being a fight and becomes a natural rhythm. Working on your goals stops feeling like a chore and becomes an addiction. You enter a state of flow where success becomes your default setting. Let us return to the mathematics of the compound effect, because numbers do not have emotions. Numbers do not care about your excuses or your bad days. They just reflect reality. If you are improving by 1% every day, you are not just growing, you are accelerating. The gap between you and the person who is declining by 1% starts small, but within 6 months, it becomes a canyon. Within a year, it becomes a universe of difference. While they are still struggling with the same old problems, the same old financial stress, and the same old insecurities. You have entered an entirely different stratosphere of life. You are operating on a higher frequency because you chose to invest in your morning while they chose to invest in their comfort. Let me tell you a secret about plateaus. When you find yourself working hard, but your income stops rising or your body stops changing, do not get discouraged. That plateau is actually a storage facility for momentum. It is the period where your character is catching up to your ambitions. It is the place where your foundation is being reinforced to handle the next level of weight. If a skyscraper rose too fast without letting the concrete cure, the whole structure would crack and fall apart. Your plateau is your curing period. It is the time where your discipline becomes permanent. Keep showing up. Keep executing your non-negotiables every single morning. The breakthrough is coming. And when it arrives, it will happen so fast that people will think it was magic. Let us paint a vivid picture of what breakthrough as a lifestyle actually looks like. It is the ability to walk into any room with a calm authority, knowing that you have conquered your inner demons before the sun even came up. It is the peace of mind that comes from financial freedom, knowing that your family is secure because you built a fortress that no economic storm can destroy. It is the physical vitality of a body that has been forged through sweat and clean habits. This is not a dream reserved for a lucky few. It is a reality that is available to any man who is willing to pay the price in advance. The price is your morning. The price is your distraction. The price is your comfort zone. Are you willing to pay that price today? Think about the two paths that lie before you right now as you listen to my voice. The first path is the path of ease. It is the path of hitting the snooze button, checking your phone, and drifting through your day based on how you feel. It is a comfortable path at the beginning, but it leads to a dead end of regret, frustration, and unfulfilled potential. The second path is the path of discipline. It is the path of the 4 a.m. alarm, the focus fortress, and the relentless execution of your goals. It is a hard path at the start, full of friction and discomfort, but it leads to a destination of absolute power, freedom, and pride. You have to choose which path you are going to walk today. You cannot walk both. You cannot have a footprint in excellence and a footprint in mediocrity. Let me tell you something about this exact moment. Your future self is watching you right now, waiting to see which path you will choose. He is hoping that you will have the courage to stand